Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just going to be doing a real quick video showing how to repair a broken fishing pole using this fishing rod repair kit that I got off Amazon for $15. When I was out in Hawaii, I had the Googan Squad Microlite 2-piece spinning rod that got hooked on a tree underwater, and the rod broke right here at the end where the tip of it actually slides over. Having broken off right there, I wasn't able to properly fix it. I tried a couple times with different methods that I saw online. As you can see, I sanded down the end of the rod a little bit trying to get the epoxy off from the last time I tried to fix it. And then I found this rod repair kit on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and try to repair the rod in a way that it still stays two pieces and is able to be used again. This repair kit comes with everything that you should need to fix the rod. It is intended for fixing one-piece rods, but I'm also going to show you how I went about making it work for a two-piece rod. The kit includes 3 of these little measuring cups for the 2-part epoxy. You can see here they have the measurement lines because it's a 1-to-1 epoxy. Comes with 2 little bottles, part A and part B for the resin, some tape, scissors to cut the string, a couple little brushes to clean inside the rod, a few brushes to mix the epoxy and then to apply it to the rod, and then some little pieces of sandpaper. It also includes several of these carbon rods in 4 different sizes, a couple bags of replacement eyes if one of the eyes breaks off on your rod, and a small spool of black string that you use to wrap around the rod to reinforce it, and then apply the resin to harden it. Normally how this would go is you find the rod that's the right size to fit inside of the broken part of the pole. This one's too big. So find the rod that fits inside the pole, apply some of the resin to it, slide it halfway in on one side, let that dry enough to put more resin on the other side, and then slide it in the other side, attaching the 2 halves back together. Then you wrap the broken part in provided string. Then when the resin cures, the rod should be maybe not perfect quality as if it was brand new, but it'd be usable. But for this, because it was a 2-piece rod and it broke at the spot where the 2 halves come together, this rod, even though it fits in the base of the pole, you can see it has a lot of movement, so it's not actually sized properly for the top rod or for the top of the fishing pole. So for that, I took one of the thicker carbon rods that doesn't quite fit in the top of the pole, and I put it in the end of a drill, and then I used I marked halfway down the rod, then I used some coarse sandpaper and then turned on the drill to shave the rod down, and then I used a little bit finer sandpaper to start cleaning it up, and then I finished with this ultra fine sandpaper that comes with the repair kit. So after I got the rod down enough to where it fits snug inside the end of the rod at the depth that I want it to be, I turned it around, used a piece of the tape to mark how deep I need the thinner section of the rod to be. Not sure if you could see right here on this rod, but there's a little step right here where it gets thinner, and that side actually fits perfectly in here, and it extends this piece out to where it can actually connect back together as a 2-piece rod. So if they don't have the exact size you need on these carbon rods in this fishing repair kit, you can grab one that's one size bigger and then shave it down to have a better fit within the fishing pole. Now that I explained what's going on with it, I'm going to actually try to repair this fishing pole. So the first thing you do is get your little measuring cup and drip in some resin, fill the cup up to the first line, and then get part B and fill it up to the second line, making sure you mix the resin in a 1-to-1 ratio. If your mix is off, then it won't cure properly. All right, so after you have equal parts A and B, take your brush and mix it together. Make sure you mix it thoroughly and get a nice complete mix of the 2 parts. As soon as you start mixing it together, it will start curing. I don't know how fast this resin cures, but it's probably a good idea not to take too much time and let it sit. The reason it comes with multiple brushes and multiple cups is because it will cure and solidify. Then after it's mixed together, you're going to take your carbon rod and apply a good healthy amount of this glue to the outside. Just get it all the way around the rod, and then slide it inside the part that's broken. Then clean up the resin that just dropped on the hood of your wife's car. Make sure you immediately clean off all of the resin that drips on any surface you don't want it to stick to. Wipe up the excess off of the end of the rod. Okay, now that you have the rod glued in place, you're going to wrap your string around the rod that was broken down at least an inch past any cracks that you see in the rod itself. I'm going to probably wrap it back to around here where the last part that I had to sand it down from the previous failed repair. And then once it's done wrapping, you coat it in resin, and I will show you that in a second. So you can see that it's wrapped. The black thread that they send blends somewhat nicely in with the rest of the rod. So it will look like it was repaired, but it won't be like glaringly obvious. But then after you get the string on there, you want to saturate it really well with the resin, because the resin will soak into the string and then harden and act kind of like fiberglass, or the same way that they do carbon fiber. So you just want to go around with the resin and make sure it's fully soaked into the string. If you're concerned about it looking bubbly or like there's extra resin on there when you're done, you can just go through with some fine grit sandpaper and clean up all the bumps afterwards. If you do have a piece of string that keeps trying to unravel like that, you can grab a piece of tape and tape down the end of the string, and that'll just hold it in place until the resin cures. So I wrapped it down an inch past any cracks that were in the pole, then coated it in the resin. Now that I have it wrapped and the first layer of resin that I put on is soaking into the fibers, I'm going to add just a little bit more on top, because the fibers will start to soak up the glue as as it starts to dry. So then you just set that aside to dry, and then cut off any tails that are sticking off like that one after it's cured. And it should be good to go to be used again as a two-piece rod. Not sure if you can see on this end, there's a little bit of fraying down here at the end of the rod. So I'm also going to wrap this section of the rod in the string and then epoxy over it to just reinforce this in case there's any cracks that I can't see. But with this fraying right here, I'm pretty sure there are going to be cracks in the side of the rod as well. Alright, so after you let it cure for a few hours, it should come out looking pretty clean. This is the end of the rod that goes over the base. You can see, I'm not sure how clear it's showing up on the video, but you can see the resin is completely cured around here where I had the threads wrapped. It looks the same as the resin that they used to actually secure the eye onto place. So while looking close at it, you can tell it obviously has been repaired. At first glance, it doesn't look bad, and it's pretty solid. So for $15 repairing the rod instead of spending $170 on a new one, I'd say it's pretty well worth it. And repairing it this way, I was able to keep this as a two-piece rod instead of gluing the two halves together to make it a fairly solid one-piece rod. But you can see this is where the resin was with the black thread wrapped around it. There's a couple of spots right here, like little threads sticking up, that I can go in and sand down later. But just looking at the tip of this rod, it doesn't really look, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't really look all that much like someone repaired a rod that broke in half. This end of the rod where I was able to shape the piece of carbon properly came out really well. And the other end slips over it securely. So up close you could definitely see that it was repaired, but overall it feels pretty solid. I'm not going to say that it's as good as new because it was obviously repaired. I don't know if there's fractures in the rod that go down further to either direction, but it does feel like it's holding up, and it will definitely be good enough to be used for trout fishing this coming season. And again, it was worth the $15 to repair this rod instead of buying a $170 replacement for it. Something to note about the resin is if it's too cold outside, it won't cure properly. And if it's too hot outside, it won't cure properly. But what I did was put this together in the garage, and then when the resin stopped dripping, I took it in the house for a few hours to finish curing. But overall, because I had to sand down the carbon rod to make it fit on both sides of the pole, plus the amount of time that it took me to mix up the resin and then glue it all together, it took me maybe 30 minutes to repair this rod and then another few hours for the resin to fully cure. So if you're out fishing one day and you break a rod using this kit, you could have that same rod back out on the water the next day if you repair it when you get home. And that was a break right in the middle of the rod. There's smaller carbon rods in this kit if you break towards the tip of your rod. There's a couple bigger ones if you break the base of your rod. And as you saw, there were several different sized eyes. So if you break the tip of your pole off, you can just put a new eye at the end of it. Overall, I'd say this kit is definitely worth the $15. It's a lot cheaper than than replacing a rod that breaks, and it's convenient. This one kit comes with enough materials to repair probably 4 or 5 fishing poles. It has 3 little measuring cups and 3 brushes, so it's definitely designed to repair 3 broken fishing poles. But if you're able to evenly measure out part A and B of the resin, then you could easily get 4 or 5, maybe 6 fishing pole repairs out of this one kit. So if this is something you're interested in, I'm going to leave a link to this repair kit in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.